That's interesting. Yeah, because I would assume just with a lot of the highlights or a lot of the matches that I've been seeing, there's definitely a lot of different ethnicities within just the MLB in general. So you would think that with all those different ethnicities and wanting to try and include them, wanting to try and promote them as the game's kind of evolving, you'd assume that they would be a bit more inclusive to the different cultures, the different celebrations, the different ethnicities, and include that within the sport.
Some point in my career that hurt me that I'm kind of depressed, no sleep, crying. I know that I'm not a bad person. I just am a guy that love playing baseball.
And the game isn't played everywhere under America's unwritten rules.
Yeah, I would assume
In the Dominican Republic, where Gomez grew up, there's more expressiveness. There's palpable joy. Massive bat flips are also a fixture of the game in Asia, whether that's Korea or Japan.
Really?
Feeling stifled on the field isn't limited to foreign players either.
When it comes to being African American and playing baseball, you just kind of always felt that sense of there's not a lot of people around that look like me. I don't want to mess up this opportunity for the next guy. People have a lot of built-in ideas on what that's supposed to look like, and it's gotten away from what it was when Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, and other great players played the game that drew me to the game of baseball.
You know, when you think of like mostly unwritten rules and stuff like that, it's like being quiet and doing all this stuff. It's just not me.
Yeah.
I want to look back, 20, 30 years from now or something like that, and just being like, oh yeah, I really didn't have that much fun doing my job.
The unwritten rules do tie in because people don't think they could be themselves. Kids, players don't think they could be themselves. And, that's a big problem, right?
Kids not playing baseball is definitely a problem, especially for a sport with a fan base that skews older than the NBA's and the NFL's.
Yeah, this is what I was thinking about when looking at just the history, and even in the previous video looking at the DH hitters and just that whole area about some of the thought process about some owners wanting to not have a DH because that's how it's always been. I think sport needs to be inclusive of the younger generation if they want to continue to grow as a sport. They want the younger generation to be included as well as watching it. And it seems like the NFL, well, they've always been at the top, but it seems that the NBA are doing a really good job of that, including it within social media, including it within gaming, or just with the younger generation. They've included them a lot more, and maybe this could be an area that MLB could do that, being a bit more inclusive of different ethnicities. So definitely that's really interesting and not really surprising that their percentage of the Generation Z and the fans watching and including that sport actually not as big compared to basketball and American football.
On top of that, less than 10% of MLB players are black, and the league isn't perceived as a leader for social justice among the major sports, despite the fact that baseball has benefited from players like Jackie Robinson, Hank Aaron, and Roberto Clemente, who all fought racial injustice without league-wide support.
If I had a son and he's seeing MLB not really come to the forefront with that, then he's going to say, I don't really want to play baseball. I'm not going to be able to tell him, well, no, you shouldn't want to play because, whatever, it's a great game, this and that. But if you don't see, again, the influence being shown and put forward, I think it's hard to really relate. It's hard to know that you can trust.
There's obviously more work to be done, but chipping away at the sport's archaic, unwritten rules is a start.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a lot of these kind of unwritten rules have a big impact on a lot of factors which the players actually can't control. So for example, the perception of the opponent, or the perception of the fans, or just the different organizations within the MLB. And this can have a big impact on them from just a mental standpoint. Having all these additional thoughts and having all these additional kind of things they have to kind of take into consideration can have a big impact on their confidence, for example. It can have a big impact on whether they're kind of overthinking when they're on the field. And then, of course, that can have a big impact on their fluidity of movement, whether they're on bat, they're about to bat the ball, or whether they're pitching or on the field. All of these components mentally are having a big impact on their performance because they're having to think about all these additional things. So definitely could be a mental area that can definitely be disrupting them, and especially from these people who are from different countries where showboating or expressing themselves a lot more freely is a bit more common.
When Fernando Tatis Jr. flipped his bat to the sky after a crucial playoff home run last October, his manager praised him this time around, calling it raw and real. The comments marked a vast departure from the game sentiments around bat flips and celebrations compared to just a few years ago.
I'm retired now, and I say, why now they let everybody do what they want?
Want to make a comeback.
I think like I'm in the wrong era. I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be now, make it a show.
Over the course of a few seasons, the bat flip became a marketing tool, with Tatis's toss ending up on the cover and in the game for MLB The Show 21.
Wow.
The reasoning is simple. The attitudes about the unwritten rules continue to shift, especially among the game's youngest generation.
By the time I was making my way through the minor leagues and I got to the big leagues, like, no one really cares anymore. It makes for like a good clip, or it makes, it might generate some interest if a guy does a massive bat flip or something like that.
Guy hits a home run off me. Showboats. Cool. Guess what? I'm going to face you again.
Yeah.
I'm going to strike you out. I'm going to showboat.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's the mindset that I kind of have. I feel a lot more of the younger generation would have. Like, if you're showboating for your point of view, you did something great. You should feel happy about that. And then that showboating can give you some positive momentum going into the next time you're on bat or the next time you pitch. But then on the flip side, say something negative happens and your opposition showboating, that should fuel you. That should rile you up. That way, the next opportunity you get, you can hit that ball, you can get that strikeout, you can actually showboat and actually be happy about the thing that you did. You can come back at them.
This new leniency can be traced back to a specific moment from the 2015 playoffs.
That's the bat right there. I have a couple of pictures. I mean, I've been sent maybe like 7 to 8 paintings of it.
Wow.
There's one right there.
You know the one. After a go-ahead 3-run homer in the decisive 5th game of the Rangers-Blue Jays ALDS series, Jose Bautista's bat flip became instantly iconic, even if he doesn't remember doing it. What's going through your head in that moment?
You tell me, man. I kind of blacked out after the swing, hearing the roar of the crowd and the emotion of the moment.
That raw emotion.
I don't really recall anything in particular until I was kind of catching my breath back at the bench.
That circles back to a point Carlos Gomez made. These moments aren't contrived. They're not assembled in a writer's room to stimulate an audience. They're real.
I never like thinking, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna make a back play, I'm gonna slide and then point to the dugout. No. I just let the moment flow, and I'm saying like I'm happy with myself. This me, this who I am.
It's kind of weird because I wasn't a notorious bat flipper. I might have done it 2 or 3 times in my whole career, but now I'm kind of known for that, so that's kind of weird.
Seattle Mariners outfielder and top prospect Taylor Trammell was in high school when Bautista went viral.
And I was just like, oh my goodness. And so like immediately we get to the field, everybody's doing like imitating it. I'm doing it from the left side. I'm like, dude, I'm throwing the bat out and like we're chucking the bat like 20 feet in the air. Like we're humming that thing. And it was like, wow, we're having so much fun. But he was like a pioneer of that, kind of like that, breaking the glass and saying like, let the floodgates roll in,
Bautista provided the exact kind of iconic moment that baseball needed more of. And now, bat flips are just the tip of the iceberg.
Baseball need to have more swag.
We got Marcus Stroman out there. Swag. Tim Anderson. Swag. Fernando Tatis. Swag. Juan Soto. Swag. Javier Baez. Swag.
The swag has come with a loosening of MLB's uniform rules, both written and unwritten.
That's guys good. Like the high socks again, tighter pants. Our whole team, we got a lot of ice.
I see a lot of rookies coming up and they're doing their thing, and vets in the game are allowing it.
You're inviting more coaches, and you're inviting more kids to get involved at a younger age and have fun playing this game, and to continue growing with the rest of the sports world, because people see the highlights, people see things on YouTube and social media. The Instagrams, the TikToks, and whatnot. That's fun.
And as more and more players push to reevaluate the unwritten rules, they're ready for the consequences.
Yeah, I just want to tell anybody, if they have a problem with me not following unwritten rules, I'm always 60 feet 6 inches away. So if they want to come talk to me, come holler at me.
Come see me. No, fair enough. Yeah, that was a great video. That was really good. I think a lot of the case with MLB and with just the sport of baseball, it's been around for so long. So it makes sense. There's a lot of traditions. There's a lot of things that it's always been like this. There's a lot of rules in place, and that makes sense. And I think understanding and loving kind of the tradition of the sport is one thing, but then I think that needs to be combined with always progressing, always updating, always upgrading, because there's always a new generation who are trying new new things, they're doing new techniques, and they're just always evolving. We saw that in the pitching video that I kind of reacted to and watched a couple weeks ago, where we saw that those pitchers, they're still evolving, they're still changing, they're still adapting their different pitching variations towards making it a lot harder for the batters, which I don't know how you can make it more harder for the batters. I mean, come on. But that's the same thing with all these unspoken rules as well. I think they have a big impact on the athletes mentally, especially those athletes who are used to being a bit more raw with their emotions. They're showcasing their skills, they're playing with a bit more joy and expressing that. Showing those emotions, that can help with their confidence, that can help with their momentum mentally as well as physically, and that can just help with their overall performance. So then coming to a new league where there's a set rules and set unspoken things where they can't do that, that can have a major impact on their ability to actually kind of just transfer into the big leagues. And so this is a really interesting video, really interesting kind of topic, where these unspoken rules, of course they're trying to pay homage to the traditions of the sport, but then on the flip side they are kind of holding back a lot more of the emotions and just the enjoyment of sports. Sports is that enjoyment of like expressing yourself and expressing yourself through your movements, through your abilities and skills that you work hard to kind of hone. And so this was a really good video. I definitely really enjoyed just learning a bit more about it. Seems like baseball's kind of progressing positively in this direction, and hopefully as more generations come, more people kind of showcase their abilities, people are a lot more comfortable with someone talking trash, or someone's a bit more comfortable doing a backflip, or kind of just being happy at the fact that they succeeded in the technique that they wanted to. And so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you like this video, subscribe for more sports and sports psychology content just like this, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.